Between the ages of 9 and 12, children begin a quiet transformation. Their bodies shift, their emotions deepen, and their sense of self starts to stretch beyond the familiar. This stage, often called pre-adolescence, is not just a biological transition, it's a psychological awakening. And as parents, our role is not to lecture, but to guide, to be the steady voice that helps them understand what's happening without fear or shame. Welcome to Seeds of Tomorrow. At this age, children are becoming more aware of their bodies. They notice changes in themselves and in others. They compare, they wonder, and sometimes they worry. That's why it's essential to talk openly about the physical changes of puberty before confusion turns into anxiety. For girls, breast development may begin, their hips may widen, menstruation might arrive, often unexpectedly. For boys, the voice begins to change, sometimes cracking mid-sentence. Hair appears in new places. Erections and wet dreams may occur, often without warning or understanding. And for all children, there are growth spurts, body odor, acne, and a new relationship with hygiene. These changes are not problems to be solved, they are signs of growth. But children need to hear that from us. They need to know that what's happening is normal, healthy, and shared by everyone, even if the timing is different for each person. Use clear, respectful language. Say penis, vagina, menstruation, erection. Avoid euphemisms. When we name things properly, we remove the mystery. We give children the tools to understand and respect their bodies. Create space for questions. Let your child know they can ask anything and that you'll respond with honesty and kindness. Some children will be curious. Others will be quiet. Both are okay. What matters is that they feel safe. Introduce hygiene not as a chore, but as a form of self-respect. Talk about deodorant, washing the face, changing clothes, and caring for private areas. Frame it as a way to honor the body that's growing and changing. And most importantly, validate their experience. Say, it's normal to feel weird about these changes. Say, you're not alone. Say, your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Children at this age are developing a deeper sense of identity. They're beginning to see themselves not just as kids, but as individuals. That's why our tone matters. If we speak with embarrassment, they'll absorb it. If we speak with confidence and care, they'll carry that forward. This is not a one-time talk. It's a series of gentle conversations. It's noticing when they seem unsure and offering clarity. It's being proactive, not reactive. Don't wait for the moment, create it. Because when children understand their bodies, they begin to trust themselves. They begin to set boundaries. They begin to respect others. And that's the foundation of sexual resilience. Not sex, but self-awareness and self-worth. So take a breath. Step into this chapter with warmth. Your child doesn't need perfection. They need presence. They need you. As children move through the early stages of puberty, something else begins to shift. Something quieter, but just as powerful. They start to feel the edges of their personal space. They begin to sense what feels right and what feels wrong. They notice when someone gets too close, or when a touch doesn't feel safe. This is the beginning of boundary awareness, and it's our job to help them name it, trust it, and protect it. Boundaries are not just physical, they're emotional, they're psychological. They're the invisible lines that say, this is me, this is mine. And for children between 9 and 12, learning to recognize and honor those lines is essential. Start by teaching them that their body belongs to them, not to parents, not to teachers, not to friends, them. Say it clearly. Your body is yours. You have the right to decide who touches it and how. This simple truth can be life-changing. Help them understand the difference between safe touch and unsafe touch, not just good and bad, because sometimes it's not that simple. Use the language of clarity: safe, unsafe, and confusing. A hug from a friend might feel safe. A tickle that goes too far might feel confusing. A touch in a private area is unsafe, no matter who it comes from. Teach them about private parts, not just what they are, but why they're private. Explain that no one should touch, look at, or talk about those areas unless it's for health reasons. And even then, only with permission and presence of a trusted adult. And just as important, teach them how to say no. Not just the word, but the posture, the tone, the confidence. Practice it together. Role-play scenarios. Make it a game, not a lecture. Because when children rehearse saying no, they're more likely to use it when it matters. Let them know that secrets about the body are never okay. If someone asks them to keep a secret about a touch, a picture, or a message, they should tell a trusted adult immediately. Reinforce this often. Secrets that feel heavy are not safe. And when they do come to you, listen. Don't panic. Don't overreact. Stay calm. Thank them for trusting you. Because how we respond teaches them whether it's safe to speak up again. Boundaries also extend to digital spaces. Children this age are often online, watching videos, playing games, chatting with friends. Teach them that their privacy matters there too. No one should ask for pictures of their body. No one should send them images that feel wrong. And if it happens, they should come to you, not with fear, but with trust. This is also the time to talk about peer pressure, about friends who might dare them to do something uncomfortable, about the fear of being left out. Help them understand that true friends respect boundaries, that saying no doesn't make them weak, it makes them wise. And finally, model boundaries in your own life. Let them see you say no. Let them hear you talk about personal space, about respect, about consent. Children learn more from what we do than what we say. When we teach boundaries, we're not just protecting our children from harm. We're giving them the tools to navigate relationships with confidence. We're helping them build a sense of self that is strong, clear, and respected. So speak often, speak gently, speak with conviction. Your child is listening, not just with their ears, but with their heart. As children begin to understand their bodies and boundaries, another layer of growth unfolds, one that's quieter, more internal, and often harder to name. It's the world of feelings, the stirrings of identity, the first glimpses of connection and curiosity. Between the ages of 9 and 12, children start to ask deeper questions, not just about what's happening to their bodies, but about who they are and how they relate to others. This is the emotional heart of pre-adolescence, and it's where parents have the chance to shape not just knowledge, but character. Children at this age begin to experience a wider range of emotions. They may feel embarrassed more easily. They may become more self-conscious. They may develop crushes or feel drawn to certain people without knowing why. These feelings are not signs of trouble. They're signs of growth, and they deserve to be met with understanding, not judgment. Start by normalizing emotions. Say things like, "It's okay to feel curious," or "It's normal to feel shy or excited around someone." When we name emotions without shame, we give children permission to feel and to talk. Help them understand that feelings are not instructions. Just because they feel something doesn't mean they have to act on it. This is a powerful lesson in emotional regulation. Teach them to pause, reflect, and choose their response. Talk about identity, not just gender or sexuality, but the broader sense of self. Who am I? What do I like? What makes me feel strong or safe or seen? These questions begin to surface in subtle ways. A child might change their style. They might gravitate towards certain friends. They might ask questions about relationships or roles. Be open, be curious. Let them explore without pressure. When it comes to gender and sexuality, keep the language simple and respectful. You don't need to explain every label or concept. Just let them know that people are different and that every person deserves kindness and respect. Say, some people feel like boys, some feel like girls, and some feel like both or neither. What matters is that we treat everyone with care. Talk about friendship. What makes a good friend? What does respect look like in a relationship? Help them recognize the difference between healthy and unhealthy dynamics. A friend who listens, shares, and respects boundaries is a good friend. A friend who pressures, mocks, or excludes is not. And yes, talk about love. Not romantic love in the adult sense, but the early stirrings of affection, the feeling of wanting to be close to someone, the butterflies, the confusion. Let them know it's okay to feel these things, that it doesn't mean they're too young or getting ahead of themselves. It means they're human. Help them understand that love is not just a feeling, it's a way of treating others with kindness, with honesty, with respect, and that real love never asks them to hide, to lie, or to cross their boundaries. Encourage emotional literacy. Teach them to name their feelings: nervous, excited, jealous, proud. Use stories, movies, or real-life moments to explore emotions together. Ask, how do you think that character felt? Or, what would you do in that situation? And most importantly, be their emotional anchor. When they come to you with questions, don't rush to answer. Listen, reflect, ask what they think. Let them feel heard. Because when children feel emotionally safe, they become more resilient, more confident, more compassionate. This stage is not about giving them all the answers. It's about helping them ask better questions. It's about walking beside them as they discover who they are and how they want to show up in the world. So keep the door open, keep the tone gentle, keep the trust alive. Your child is not just growing, they're unfolding, and your presence is the light that helps them bloom. As children grow into their bodies and begin to understand their emotions, they also step into a world that's louder, faster, and more complex than ever before. Screens light up their days, messages flash across their devices, images, videos, and voices from around the world reach them in seconds. This is the digital landscape they're growing up in, and it's filled with both opportunity and risk. Between the ages of 9 and 12, children become more curious. They explore, they search, they click, and sometimes they stumble into content they're not ready for, especially when it comes to sexuality. That's why media literacy and digital boundaries are now essential parts of sexual education. Start by acknowledging the reality. Children will encounter sexual content online. It might be accidental, a pop-up, a link, a shared video, or it might be intentional, driven by curiosity or peer influence. Either way, silence is not protection. Conversation is. Talk to your child about what they might see, not with fear, but with clarity. Say, there are videos and pictures online that show people's bodies or private parts. Some of it is meant to be educational, but a lot of it is not. If you ever see something that confuses or upsets you, come talk to me. You're not in trouble. Explain that pornography is not real life, that it often shows unrealistic, exaggerated, or even harmful versions of intimacy, that it doesn't teach respect, consent, or emotional connection. Help them understand that what they see online is not a guide, it's a performance. Teach them to think critically. Ask, who made this content? Why? What message is it sending? Help them question what they consume, rather than absorb it passively. This builds resilience, not just against sexual misinformation, but against all forms of manipulation. They offer safety. They offer metaphor. They offer hope. Why stories heal? Stories create emotional distance. They allow children to explore pain without being overwhelmed by it. A character's journey becomes a mirror, a metaphor, a way to say, "Me too," without having to say, "That's me." This is the magic of narrative therapy. It's not about fixing, it's about witnessing. What kind of stories help? Look for books that are emotionally honest but gentle. They acknowledge pain without dramatizing it. Symbolic. Use animals, fantasy, or metaphor to represent emotional experiences. Hopeful. Endings that offer resolution, connection, or growth. Validating. Show that all emotions are okay and healing is possible. Examples might include a lost animal finding its way home, a lonely child making a friend, a character learning to speak up after being silenced. These stories speak to the heart in code. Children decode them with feeling. How to use stories for healing. Let the child lead. Don't force discussion. Let them reflect in their own time. Ask gentle questions. Did anything in this story feel familiar? What do you think helped the character feel better? Offer emotional language. It sounds like the character felt scared. That's okay. We all feel scared sometimes. Create space for silence. Sometimes the most healing thing is to sit quietly together after reading. Rituals that support healing. Story time. Journaling. After reading, invite your child to draw or write how the story made them feel. Emotion stones. Use small stones or tokens to represent feelings. Let your child choose one after a story to express their mood. Safe story circle. Create a weekly time where your child can choose any book. No pressure, no analysis, just presence. Affirmations for healing. It's okay to feel everything. Stories help me understand my heart. I am safe when I read. Healing takes time, and stories help me grow. Final reflection. Storytelling is not just entertainment, it's emotional medicine. It's how we stitch together the torn edges of the heart. When we read with children who carry pain, we offer them more than words. We offer them a way back to themselves. This is the time to talk about responsibility, not in the sense of chores or homework, but in the sense of ownership, of their choices, their words, their relationships. Help them understand that every action has impact, that how they treat others matters, that respect isn't just about avoiding harm, it's about showing care. Talk about values openly. Share what matters to you. Whether it's honesty, kindness, courage, or compassion, let your child see how those values guide your decisions. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Children learn more from our efforts than from our perfection. Invite them to explore their own values. Ask, what kind of person do you want to be? What makes you feel proud? What do you stand for? These questions help them build a sense of identity that's rooted in purpose, not just preference. Discuss cultural and family beliefs around sexuality and relationships, not as absolutes, but as perspectives. Say, in our family we believe, and then invite dialogue. Let them ask. Let them challenge. Let them think. Because values that are explored become values that are owned. Talk about differences with respect. Help them understand that people come from different backgrounds, have different beliefs, and make different choices. That disagreement doesn't mean disrespect. That empathy is stronger than judgment. And when mistakes happen, and they will, respond with grace. Use them as teaching moments. Say, what do you think went wrong? What would you do differently next time? This builds accountability without shame. Encourage your child to be a safe person for others. Someone who listens. Someone who respects boundaries. Someone who speaks up when something feels wrong. This is how we raise not just protected children, but protectors. And finally, remind them that they're never alone, that no question is too strange, that no feeling is too big, that you are here, not just as a parent, but as a guide, a witness, and a source of strength. Because sexual education is not a single conversation, it's a lifelong dialogue. It's the way we show up, the way we listen, the way we lead. So thank you for walking this path, for choosing presence over silence, for planting seeds of resilience, wisdom, and love. If this journey has resonated with you, and you'd like to continue exploring parenting psychology and emotional growth, subscribe to Seeds of Tomorrow. Let's keep building a future where children grow not just in knowledge, but in confidence, compassion, and clarity. See you in the next chapter. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and stay connected.